fuel the splash. I said, oh, that's fuel. And that's a lot of fuel.
Here comes Carpenter, side by side with Briscoe. Briscoe! Oh, no. Nelson Philippe was just hit.
It was real powered.
Wow. Big crash in one. It's Vitor Mira.
I don't think I've ever seen a car do that.
Exiting his pit stall, Ryan Briscoe gets loose and winds up in the inside wall.
Damn it! Sorry. Oh, my God.
Danica Patrick right now, she is posted back to back to back to back top five.
Elio Castroneves wins at Indy.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I'm honored to have fans like you.
Yeah, baby! Woo!
Hello, I'm Lindy Thaxton, and welcome to Birmingham, Alabama, the site of preseason testing for the IZOD Indycar Series. The green flag drops on the 2010 season next weekend in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Coming up, we'll talk to last year's champion Dario Franchitti and other IndyCar Series stars like Danica Patrick, Tony Kanaan, and Elio Castroneves. Over the next hour, we'll go inside the speed, inside the cockpit, and inside the 2010 IZOD IndyCar Series.
After being away from the IndyCar Series for a year, Dario Franchitti returned in 2009 with a new team, a renewed love for the sport, and a little bit of nervousness.
What was it all going to be? Was I going to be back on the pace, or was I going to suck?
There's the green flag, and we are underway at safety. The battle toward turn number one. Look at this, 5 wide as they head in there. Who's going to come out ahead? Oh, a nice move by Dario Franchitti.
So I'd moved way over to the right. People started braking, so I moved past Tony and alongside Graham. Then he started to brake, and they started to move me over a little bit. By that point, all hell broke loose behind me.
How about the move by Dario, huh?
He came from the third row to be the first one to the corner.
I knew that we were better than a fourth place finish, so that gave me some hope for the next one at Long Beach.
Let's welcome him back, Dario Franchitti!
The twin checkers wave, and Dario Franchitti has won the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Sweet.
That exercises a lot of demons there. It does.
It was kind of extra special, I guess, because the stuff that Chip and I had been through the year before with the NASCAR deal, and to come back and to win that first race was special, and it was my wife's birthday. Can't forget that, so that was a good birthday present for the missus.
Dario Franchitti will drive into victory lane at Iowa Speedway.
Dario Franchitti is going to pick up his 11th career win in the IndyCar Series and his second here at Toronto.
The number 10 car out in front from the start, and he will be out in front at the finish.
Checker flag, man. Great drive. Great drive. You're the man. You are the man.
It's a great feeling. We race to win. Chip races to win. And every single person in that team, that's why they do it. You know, when you get in victory lane and you see that your guys with the smiles on their faces, it's a winning attitude in that team, and that's why we all do it.
Target Chip Ganassi racing out in front. Dario Franchitti on pole. Final race of the season is underway as the green flag flies.
Green, 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 green.
Chip Ganassi and his team have decided they're going to play the fuel mileage game.
From the whole season for it to come down to that, it was a hell of a competition.
It's like he's never been away.
Dario Franchitti is back, and he is a champion in 2009.
All right, you're the champ, buddy. You're the champ.
To come back from the adversity of 2008, to do it with a new team, to do it in a unified series, added a little something. Big difference for me at the time when I was 1 in 07. I knew I was leaving to go do something else. When I stood up there in 09, I knew I was staying for next year, staying with my team, and it was pretty cool.
And it is Scott Dixon, the winner, in commanding fashion. And this is a weekend of maximum points right here. Pole, laps, the whole deal. The twin checkers are out. The New Zealander has won it once again.
Scott
Dixon finished second in the points race last season, just 11 points behind his teammate. His 5 wins matched Dario's total and his drive to victory lane amid IndyCar Series history.
Scott Dixon comes off the 13th corner, gets the double checkers, and wins his 20th career race, breaking the tie with Sam Hornish Jr. He now is the all-time winner in the IndyCar Series with 20 wins.
It's fantastic to be at the top of any leaderboard, whether it's winning races in one season or championships or whatever it is. To being the most winningest IndyCar driver is pretty fantastic.
Going into 2010, Scott sits atop the IZOD IndyCar Series career wins list with 21 victories. Sam Hornish Jr. has 19 wins. Helio Castroneves has 16. Dan Weldon 15. While Dario Franchitti and Tony Kanaan have 13 career IZOD IndyCar Series wins.
Whoa, we got a fire.
Fire with Kanaan. Second time.
I pulled the car away from everybody because I didn't want to burn my guys. And now I have my eyes closed, I'm not breathing, and I'm trying to get out of the car.
During the offseason, IZOD was named as the title sponsor of the IndyCar Series. Combining the fastest racing on Earth with the iconic American brand will take the IZOD IndyCar Series mainstream and into pop culture by promoting the cars and the stars.
We're going to move the sport outside what we call the endemic space. We're going to move outside of just people who know IndyCar and go out to college campuses, to auto shows, to malls, to airports. We're going to expose the sport to as many people as possible.
I think it shows exactly how far the IndyCar Series has come to be associated with a company like IZOD. I think it's very important for the IndyCar Series.
It's a new beginning for the entire series. You want partners that first of all want to be involved, but want to be pushing to build together, to grow together.
We're convinced that you see a car, you see what a car does, you see what these athletes do, that those stories aren't really being told right now. So we're going to work as hard as we can to get those stories out because it's unbelievable.
During the off-season, a few of the IZOD IndyCar Series drivers spent time in Panama filming commercials for the league's new title sponsor. Later in the show, we'll go behind the scenes with Dan Weldon and on. Last season started off strong for Tony Kanaan. The 2004 Series champ had top 5 finishes in the first 3 races and walked into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the points lead. However, Indy proved to be the beginning of TK's toughest season.
I led every time I've been here. For the last 7 times, I led more than 200 laps. I mean, it was always like, I don't want to have that pressure. So I was pretty calm during the race and just doing my race. But that's never enough for Indy.
No, we had a huge crash. The 7-Eleven of Tony Kanaan into the wall hard for the 2nd year in a row.
That was, following Dario. Dario kind of got away from me a little bit. I came out of turn 2. I was planning, I'm going to go a little bit richer on the fuel so I can have a little bit more power. And all of a sudden, the suspension breaks.
What a vicious hit Kanaan takes into the wall.
That was the ride of my life. I mean, I thought I was going to die for real. But that tells you that how safe the cars are, the safety walls. I mean, I hit the wall at 190 miles an hour without the brakes, and I'm here telling you guys the story.
Oh my gosh, I hope he's okay. He's okay. He's good now.
We demolished the car. There wasn't a single piece left. Everybody was trying to forget about it and move on, but everybody was still a little bit shaken up. We had to rebuild a car to go to Milwaukee 5 days later.
Tony Kanaan problems. They're getting him out of the race car as the smoke is billowing from the back end of the car. So Kanaan is getting out, but I can tell you this is the real problem with Kanaan because of his physical situation is getting out of the car.
We catch fire. I almost burned myself, and that was just like, oh my God, what else?
Whoa, we got a fire.
Fire with Kanaan. Second time.
And then I come in, and it's a normal stop. So reset my fuel, and I'm getting ready to go, watching my my crew chief. And I feel the splash. I said, oh, that's fuel. And that's a lot of fuel. And I feel the fire.
The car is on fire. Tony Kanaan right now inside of his car.
I pulled the car away from everybody because I didn't want to burn my guys. And now I have my eyes closed. I'm not breathing. And I'm trying to get out of the car. And then I was hoping that somebody was going to come and help me.
Notice all the different teams pitching in there.
Hats off to those guys, every one of them.
The Penske guys, you can see, I mean, there's a lot of red and black suits there. And, I mean, it's in the middle of the race. There are two cars are leading, first and second. And these guys are just trying to save my life.
Man, that flame's so scary.
You know, my hands are like a little burned. My chin, a little bit of my nose. I lost my eyebrows. And my eyelashes a little bit, but it wasn't like that bad. When you crash, I mean, it happens in 2 or 3 seconds. You're used to smash the wall, and you know, you break your arm, you break your ribs, you break your leg, and you just go and fix it. But fire, it's something that you, I mean, if somebody doesn't do anything for you, you can't do anything.
I just get goosebumps of just how scary fires are.
When people say you had a bad season, I wouldn't call it a bad season. I would call a difficult season that you got to learn from it.
Godspeed today, guys.
It's a new year with positive thinking, and we're just going to keep working and trying to win races. That's all we got to do.
Last season, Tony went winless for the first time in his career. But he can look forward to 2010 knowing the season begins in his home country. Next weekend, the Izod IndyCar Series makes its debut in Sao Paulo, Brazil, TK's hometown.
You're asking a Brazilian guy what's good about Brazil, but I mean, the atmosphere, the people, I think, especially in the place that we're racing, it's where Carnival is, which is the biggest body anybody can possibly imagine. I've been all over the world. I don't think there's a bigger party than that.
I've raced in Brazil before. I've raced in Sao Paulo at the Interlagos circuit, and it's always a great event. The fans are so enthusiastic, and I can't imagine what it's going to be like for as many Brazilian drivers as we have. I think it's going to be absolutely crazy.
We have a huge fan base in Brazil, and we really needed to go back to Brazil and represent our country and represent the IndyCar Series in Brazil. For me, is just an honor.
After making its debut in Brazil, the Izod IndyCar Series races back to the States for the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, and then to Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama.
Population of over 1 million people. Birmingham is Alabama's largest city, and Barber Motorsports Park is considered the Augusta of motorsports. It houses North America's largest collection of vintage motorcycles and is now part of the Izod IndyCar Series.
Barber's is a fantastic road course. When we showed up there and all those people showed up just to watch the test, I think it's going to be a great crowd.
The attention to detail at the whole facility is mind-boggling. The track is going to be difficult. I think passing is going to be a little tough, which will put qualifying at a premium, but you know, we're used to that at a lot of the other circuits. But you know, it's a track that we can go to and quite comfortably know that it's going to put on a work.
From Alabama, the series heads west to Longshore, where Dario Franchitti won last year's inaugural event. Race 5 of the season is a candy for the running of the Indianapolis 500. Vitor last year's Indianapolis 500.
There's a fine pit. Crew's on the scene immediately.
After a scary pit fire, he returned track, only to have his race and season end after making contact with Rafael Matos. And then the turn 1 wall.
Crash, yellow. Big crash in one. It's Vitor Mira. The car got up on its side.
We went to outside. I stayed on the inside, protect myself. All of a sudden, all I remember is myself on the wall.
I don't think, Mike, I've ever seen a car do that. Mira was up on the wall with the left side wheels flat on the ground and the car running perpendicular to the wall.
If that accident had taken place 15 years ago, I would not be here right now talking to you guys. So I really had to thank Dr. Tramo and all the guys from Dolaro and everybody, because I mean, this was a pretty big one, and I'm still here racing.
Vitor broke 2 vertebrae in his lower back and spent the rest of the year in rehab. He's He's recovered and ready to return to the track for next weekend's opener in his home country of Brazil. Qualifications for this year's Indy 500 will take place all in one weekend, with pole day on Saturday, May 22nd, and bump day on Sunday, the 23rd. Versus will once again have full coverage as the fastest drivers in the world prepare for the Indianapolis 500.
Open the door to the three-time Winners Club. There's a brand new member, and his name is Helio Castroneves.
Man, that was just awesome. I was waiting for that number 3, to come up. I was like, here. Anyway, it would look good. So, great moment. Great moment.
Welcome back, and we are joined by the Indy 500 champ, Helio Castroneves. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
What a difference a year makes.
Wow.
Talk about last year at this time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's easy because I'm not even... But all of a sudden, the doctor calls me, no, you come over here. You hold her leg. I'm like, what do you mean I hold her leg? I don't want to look to the war zone over here, I want to just look like the monitor, and that's it. Man, what a feeling. I mean, it's so hard to describe when the babe come out and cried, that little thing. Brianna was great. She was like calm, cool, collecting, and I'm like, oh my God. I was kind of like falling apart,
I think we all had a feeling, probably.
But it was awesome feeling. Again, I think this is the great gift from God, just to have, a life, you and your partner kind of build that. Again, it was an incredible feeling.
Danica Patrick right now, one of the best performing drivers in the series. She has posted back-to-back top 5.
Leading the team throughout the year really was probably the biggest accomplishment. I have some really stellar teammates, and especially Tony Kanaan, who's had so much, so many wins, and a championship. I think to beat a guy like that is a big accomplishment.
For me, it was really important just to have the consistency, something that probably lacked, on my resume in the past.
The driver from Sydney, Australia, will win the 2009 IndyCar Series season opener.
That's awesome. Great way to start. Yeah.
Ryan Briscoe will hold off Dario Franchitti for second at the Milwaukee
The
Mile.
captain brings home another win, and not only that, a 1-2 finish.
Second place goes to Ryan Briscoe for the third consecutive event as he continues to stack up points. Justin Wilson gets the wins in front of Ryan Briscoe, who comes home second. Dario Franchitti wins by 1.6 seconds over Ryan Briscoe.
Obviously, when you're that close to winning, you want to win them all.
Side by side with Briscoe across the line. A dead heat is 18/10,000ths, Mark Jane. That's all that separates them with 193 complete.
The first time I've really run that close for a win.
It's been a while since we said it. Get the cameras out for a photo finish. They're setting up for turn 4 for the final time.
Ed's car, I tell you, it was getting wider and wider.
Off of turn number 4. He'll move to the high side. Here comes Carpenter. Side by side with Briscoe. Briscoe got him.
That was fun. You earned it, brother.
Here they come. Once again on the inside, it's Dixon. On the outside, it's Ryan Briscoe. It looks like a replay of Kentucky.
Obviously, racing against Scott for the win, it's a huge swing in points. So both of us understand, what there is to gain by winning this race.
They are wheel to wheel as they make their way through turn number 4. Mike King, who's going to win it? Another photo finish coming our way at Chicagoland. Side by side, it's going to be Briscoe. Briscoe has nosed in front of Scott Dixon in yet again another of the closest finishes in IndyCar Series history.
For the man, I'll tell you, what a job.
It was probably the most exciting win I've ever had.
Headed to Twin Ring Motegi. Ryan Briscoe out in front now by 25 points.
I've been running third, fourth all race, and the Ganassi guys were very strong. And I actually got a lucky break on this pit stop. Looked like I was going to be taking the lead.
Now we see the 6 car, Briscoe, Mark James, and we have got a yellow flag. Boy, this plays right into Ryan Briscoe's hands.
I knew how close it was. I got excited, too excited, and overgassed it.
And Ryan Briscoe with a good clean stop for Team Penske. We're under caution here.
Oh, and Davey exiting his pit stall. Ryan Briscoe gets loose and winds up in the inside wall.
Damn it! Sorry. Oh my God.
Definitely biggest disappointment of my career.
Dario Franchitti is back, and he is a champion in 2009.
Ryan Briscoe wound up second.
He did everything he could do today. It fell short.
Had a great year last year, and I feel like I'm still learning. So I hope to just carry that momentum, keep getting stronger. If I can repeat that and be fighting for a championship into the last race, what more can you ask for?
After Indy, the IZOD IndyCar Series heads to the high banks of Texas Motor Speedway and then to the short track of Iowa Speedway, which is the halfway point of the season of the most diverse racing series on Earth. Danica Patrick had a career year in 2009, her 5th season in the IZOD IndyCar Series. The league's most popular driver finished 5th in the championship points race and 3rd in the Indianapolis 500, the highest ever for a female at Indy.
Good job, great job.
I was lucky enough to achieve the top female finish in 2005, so I beat my own record. I don't really think about it like that, though. I don't really think about it being a female finish. I think about it being my finish.
Danica Patrick right now, one of the best performing drivers in the series. Danica Patrick looks strong here early on. She's in 4th place.
Danica Patrick takes over the race lead.
How about this? Danica Patrick winds up finishing plus 18 on the day from her starting position. She has posted back to back to back to back top 5.
Leading the team throughout the year really was probably the biggest accomplishment. I have some really stellar teammates, and especially Tony Kanaan, who's had so many wins, and a championship. I think to beat a guy like that is a big accomplishment. So it made me feel good, and to be able to help my teammates out and have them use my setups and stuff, it's really flattering. It's what I've always wanted since the beginning when I came onto the team.
During the offseason, Danica re-signed with the newly named Andretti Autosport to drive the number 7 GoDaddy machine in 2010.
I'm really, really excited about the future. I'm really excited for 2010. I have no doubt that it's going to be challenging. I have no doubt that it's going to be a lot of work. But I'm really looking forward to it.
I didn't see Nelson pretty much till I was hitting him.
Oh, no, and we have just had Nelson Philippe was just hit by another car as he sat stalled.
I was in a lot of pain, I knew that.
The partnership between IZOD and the IndyCar Series began last season when the drivers went off the track and into Macy's stores across the country.
We're here promoting the IZOD
here at Macy's South Coast Plaza.
Big buzz around Miami.
Downtown Chicago.
Here in San Francisco.
A lot of clothes moving over the table here. It's always nice to get a lot of people out, sign a lot of IZOD hats.
I haven't seen a sponsor pumping the series up like this in a while.
A few of the IZOD IndyCar Series drivers spent part of their offseason in the water. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at IZOD's hottest new IndyCar Series commercial.
This is a Mike Kelly IZOD production, so it's going to be full tilt.
What I'm worried about, which I don't know yet, is whether you lose action on the machine and such, or in camera, you're going to lose any sense of action or athleticism. Basically, the goal was to get the drivers outside of their uniforms and get them out in the sun and out from behind the visors and expose them to the fans and to the public.
It made me go through like a certain course, and it was different every time. So every time I went through it, I didn't know what to expect as usual. And the one time I came around and hit a big coconut, and I almost wiped the thing out. I had to just let the bike go, and then they gave like one of these, and I think they taped the whole thing, which wasn't pretty.
I'll be driving a jet ski all day. That's my main scene. They're trying to simulate a race car on the water. So basically, I'm riding a jet ski for like a couple hours, which is, you know, more than fun, and just doing different takes. And the guy that is shooting, Scott, it's a great guy, I guess. He worked on a lot of TV shows and The Survivor, and the guy is just inside the water with this huge camera and, you know, asking me to do these crazy things and, you know, pass by really close to him at 80 miles an hour on the water. I mean, it's been fun. It's really looks like I'm racing again, but I'm on the water.
Tony's got a great build, really great, stocky build, very strong, you know, real Vin Diesel kind of guy. He has no fear whatsoever, so he beaches, you know, he just beaches this wave runner, comes and yanks it right up onto the beach. Very cool stuff.
Next, we're getting ready to shoot the wakeboard section of the commercial, and we're kind of trying to pick which place to do it now that the wind shifted. It's changed, but it's not exactly ideal for wakeboarding. It's got a good chop to it. So, but like usual, they just tell me, you know, go big, take a lot of risks. We'll get the shot. That's what I'm going to do.
There's rumors that I'm going to be a helicopter pilot. I'll be basically escorting the models off of the helicopter itself to the party.
I think these commercials and these different ad campaigns that IZOD are doing are going to be, you know, great for us as drivers. I think you're going to see our personalities out there, and I think hopefully we'll become more household names, which is very important to the growth of the series.
It was really cool to see it all kind of come together. Obviously, I can only imagine what these guys are going to come up with for the final product, but it was amazing to pull everything off logistically like that. I don't know how they did it.
The IZOD IndyCar Series will once again spend the 4th of July weekend at historic Watkins Glen International. From there, it's north of the border to race on the streets of Toronto. The IndyCars stay in Canada the following weekend for the Rexall Edmonton Indy. Next, it's the Honda Indy 200 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and then the IZOD IndyCar Series travels to Northern California to race at Infineon Raceway. Will Power began 2009 as Ryan Briscoe's teammate, but gave up his seat when Helio Castroneves returned to the track. At Long Beach, Will jumped out of the 3-car and into the number 12 machine and still won the pole. In all, he drove 6 races in 2009, capped off by winning the pole and the race at Edmonton.
Nice job, pal. Nice job. Congratulations. Hey, the best for bunch of top fivers.
No question about it, Will Power dominated this race.
And it'll be his first win in the IndyCar Series.
Winner, Will Power!
That was an awesome weekend for me. Sometimes when you're under a pressured situation, you maybe push a little bit too hard and make mistakes, but you know, it just all came together, and it was fantastic.
His season ended abruptly with this practice crash at Infineon Raceway in August.
I didn't see any flags, although they were out. They're just in a difficult spot to see. And I didn't see Nelson pretty much till I was hitting him.
Oh, no, and we have just had Nelson Philippe was just hit by another car as he sat stalled.
I didn't see him. I was just there, bam, and then, you know, I knew immediately that I was in a lot of pain. I knew that.
That is the absolute nightmare scenario.
Damn, I just couldn't believe that happened. You know, I was having such a good year and end up with a broken back, you know. But that's racing. That sort of thing happens.
Will is back in 2010, this time driving a full season for Roger Penske.
The chance I took, in my eyes, it wasn't really, you know, a chance. It was just a great opportunity, and, you know, I made the most of it, you know, going into 2010. I think that, you know, now it's time to put a full season together and you know, go for a championship.
There were a number of driver changes during the off-season. Later in the show, we'll recap who went where on Inside the 2010 IZOD IndyCar Series. There were a lot of changes in the offseason, starting at the top. Randy Bernard was named CEO, and he comes to the world of auto racing after building up the Professional Bull Riders Tour. Joining me now to talk about some of the technical changes fans can look for in 2010 is the president of competition and racing operations for the Indy Racing League, Brian Barnhart. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Let's start with the refueling lockout device. What is that?
We worked with Honda to develop a fuel proximity switch, and when the fuel probe is plugged into the Buckeye receptacle on the car, the driver will not be able to engage first gear. Only after the probe has been removed will he be able to achieve first gear and leave the pits. This will eliminate driveaways with the fuel hose still plugged in, pulling over fuel tanks, or splitting fuel hoses.
You're also putting fuel economy into the hands of the driver. Talk about that.
Well, we've eliminated some of the positions on the fuel switch, and we really wanted to do exactly as you said, put the fuel economy on the burden of the driver, put it on his right foot, and their ability to save fuel is going to be in their hands. So we'll still be able to save fuel under yellows, that type of situation, but by doing that, one of the benefits is that the push-to-pass button will become more effective because we'll be in the same fuel setting, and the overtake button from Honda will now have a bigger differential horsepower-wise, so the push-to-pass should be more effective as well as putting the burden of fuel economy on the driver.
Yeah, because we saw that overtake assist last season, and it's just going to improve this year.
Right. We chose the setting that had the maximum horsepower difference, so it should improve the push-to-pass button effectiveness on the racetrack as well.
And why are you bringing in the reverse gear?
Well, I think it's a move to actually try and shorten downtime and hopefully reduce the number of full course cautions. If you get a situation where a driver can keep the engine running and then back out of a situation and go back and resume the race, and you don't have to dispatch safety vehicles, the pace cars, we hopefully can avoid some full course cautions and slowing down of the event. We made it mandatory because we didn't want to have one driver have reverse and another driver not have it, because the guy that had it could be pinned in by someone who didn't have it. So we hopefully just are trying to reduce the number of full course cautions on road course events.
You also made an exciting announcement about a program called the Road to Indy. Explain how that works.
Well, that's something that Tony George Jr. had been working on all winter long, and it's really defining the ladder system for the IndyCar Series and reaching the pinnacle of open wheel racing here in America with the IZOD IndyCar Series. And we've got a formal relationship and a sanctioning relationship with the F2000 Series now. We have a commercial relationship with the Star Mazda Series, and of course then a driver can move from F2000s to Star Mazdas, then from Star Mazdas to the Firestone Indy Lights Series, and then hopefully from the Firestone Indy Lights Series to the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Brian Barnhart, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And when we come back, we will relive last year's epic championship battle between Ryan Briscoe, Scott Dixon, and Dario Franchitti. There were a number of driver changes during the offseason. Some old faces in new places, and some new faces altogether in the IZOD IndyCar Series. Ryan Hunter-Reay moves to Andretti Autosport. Justin Wilson joins Dreyer and Reingold, while Formula One veteran Takuma Sato will drive for KV Racing Technologies along with BJ Viso. Joining Newman Haas Lanigan is Hideki Muto. Conquest Racing adds Mario Romancini. Alex Tagliani is on a new team, Fast Racing, and Jay Howard makes Sarah Fisher Racing a two-car effort.
The final 4 races of this year are all ovals, starting with Chicagoland Speedway, which has seen some of the closest finishes in series history. Next is Kentucky Speedway, where Ryan Briscoe and Ed Carpenter battled to the finish in 2009. The series then makes the 64,000-mile road trip to Motegi for the Indy Japan 300. And then, for the second straight year, the season finale will be in South Florida at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Ryan Briscoe, Scott Dixon, and Dario Franchitti battled their machines and each other throughout the 2009 season, with the points lead changing hands nearly every race. In the end, it was another classic IZOD IndyCar Series championship that wasn't decided until the final lap of the season.
The twin checkers wave, and Dario Franchitti has won the 35th running of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Scott Dixon, the New Zealander, they call him the Iceman, and once again, he is in victory lane. Side by side with Briscoe. Briscoe got him! Briscoe by a nose at the line.
The focus was intense every weekend. You couldn't let back, and we knew exactly who we were racing.
Only 4 races left in this IndyCar series, and this championship battle is a tight one.
And we've got major carnage here. There are multiple cars. At least a dozen have made contact. Too many to name.
And the one car left sitting sideways at a dead stop is the championship leader.
I think there was a few people that bobbled up the front here, and obviously a lot of the others in front of me tried to brake instantly.
It all starts with, I think, Graham Rahal running to the back of Marco, everybody checking up on that, and just nowhere to go.
Definitely not the way that you want to start a race, and especially being so critical for the championship.
When I found out Scott had a problem and was at the back there, I knew that was the day to make hay.
He'll beat Ryan Briscoe to the checkers by 2 car lengths as Dario Franchitti picks up his 4th win of 2009.
You are the man.
At Chicagoland Speedway, the 3 championship contenders are running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Ryan Briscoe leads his 11th race this season. Hot on his heels is Scott Dixon.
Another photo finish coming our way at Chicagoland.
Do what you got to do.
Side by side, it's going to be Briscoe. Briscoe has nosed in front of Scott Dixon, and he wins it by 77 ten-thousandths of a second.
I had a pretty good feeling as I went across the line. I could see that it looked like I was in front, but you never know until it's on the scoreboard.
And I think we lost it by a few inches. If that place had changed, it would have made all the difference at the end of the championship.
Ryan Briscoe winds up with the win, and he will head to Twin Ring Motegi with a 25-point lead in the championship.
Japan, straight out, was just a fantastic weekend for Dario and myself.
The Ganassi teammates fight it out here, wheel to wheel.
We have got a yellow flag. Boy, this plays right into Ryan Briscoe's hands. It is Mike Conway, as now we see the 6 car roll into his stall, and he will be able to complete this stop.
I actually got a lucky break on this pit stop. I was the last one out on fuel. Looked like I was going to be taking the lead if I beat Dixon to the line.
Oh, and Davey exiting his pit stall. Ryan Briscoe gets loose and winds up in the inside wall, exiting his pit stall.
Got excited, too excited, and overgassed it.
How bad you hit it? Are you okay? Did you hit the wall or not? Did you hit the wall?
I just caught my right rear on the change of tarmac there, and the traction shifted and just spun the car around and spat me right into the wall.
You hit the wall or not? I can't hear you. 10-4, I hit the wall.
He had this race covered. He was just given a gift. And this car, if this car's damaged, he just threw that thing away.
Definitely biggest disappointment of my career.
Once again, it's sorry for him to have the problem, but you kind of got to have a bit of a smile because it makes your day look a lot prettier.
Scott Dixon, his 5th win of the season. More importantly, this topsy-turvy points race is turned upside down as we head to Miami to settle the 2009 IndyCar Championship.
You know, that was it. Whoever was going to win the race was going to win the championship.
I made it plain and simple that I was going to try and lead as most laps, because if I did that, it was automatically going to knock Briscoe out of winning the championship.
Dixon is out in front. The 6-car Brian Briscoe runs 2nd.
Briscoe and myself pushed so hard that we just burnt all the fuel.
These guys putting on a darn good show, both of them with great race cars, is Dario Franchitti just trying to keep pace right now.
We looked at the strategy, and we figured, you know, if we can make 50 laps, 100 laps, lap 150, whatever, that's definitely going to be the way to do it.
Dario Franchitti, meantime, runs 3rd out on track. He is 11 points back, but we are curious about his fuel strategy right now.
And I think by about lap 100, the light bulb went on for a lot of people.
Chip Ganassi and his team have decided they're going to play the fuel mileage game.
The time I realized it was too late to do anything about it.
You know, when you're 3/4 way through the race, you kind of burnt yourself, and you can't really change what situation you got.
We had a plan, and we thought we had to stick to the plan. We were there to win the race.
You know, I thought Dario's car was not handling to the way that he liked, and that we're going to have to try and beat Briscoe for the championship. 10 laps from the end, man, it changed quickly.
Who's coming in first?
They're laying out for Scott. Scott's on pit lane. And here comes Here's Briscoe.
And just like that, Dario Franchitti's number 10 goes to the top of the championship leaderboard. Dario Franchitti is back, and he is a champion in 2009. The Target Chip Ganassi Racing crew used the pit strategy, and boy, what a great call as Dario wins it.
All right, you're the champ, buddy. You're the champ. Oh, yeah. Great job, bud.
Beautiful job. Beautiful job.
Each of us all did what we felt was best that day. And the whole season for it to come down to that, it was a hell of a competition. I think 2010 is going to be even more intense.
The season opener for the IZOD Indycar Series is next weekend in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Qualifying is Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern here on Versus. Then on Sunday, watch the inaugural Sao Paulo Indy 300. Coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Eastern.